So thank you for being here. We're from Mostro Cybersecurity and Compliance, and this is just a little slogan, and we're built to defend and ready to strike. So I'm going to start this whole webinar off on just some stories, some actual live, real life stories that have happened and recently in the real estate industry. So they start out, this is one of the case ones. Imagine this, that you guys have helped a family find their dream home and the closing is tomorrow. And then one email arrives and their life savings vanish into a hacker's account. Just think about that for a second, how just crazy that is, knowing that each family, each person that you guys bring finally get to the closing table, how long and how many obstacles did you guys have to go through to get to that point, right? Because when somebody's buying a home, it's not like in a week or a couple of days, it's a done deal. You have to, from getting them qualified, the mortgage stuff, finding the properties that they like, negotiating, the appraisals, inspections, like everything to finally get there. And then just like that, the hacking could happen, and everything is, could be potentially down a drain. And that's exactly what happened in West Virginia recently. Within the last year, a couple wired just over $250,000 after receiving a fake email from their real estate team, right? The money just vanished. The closing, obviously, there was no closing. The family was devastated. You can imagine, that's a lot of money. And the real estate team's reputation was on the line now, because all of once that happened, all these domino effects starts coming out, and then it's devastating. But there's a lot of legal risk that comes after that, and that's what's the scary part about this, is that now it's not only you getting hacked, but all the legalities that come after that. And there's a lot of finger pointing and problems and things that happen. So you can just imagine how crazy this scenario would have been if you were not only the realtor or the title agent or anything like that, especially the family, all the things that could have went wrong, and who they start blaming, right? The next scenario was case two, similar thing, but this time the homeowner, they lost almost 200,000 after following the instructions from the realtor, and they wired the money to a hacker. This went all the way down to a federal court, and they found the realtor 85% liable for those losses, right? And that, just think about how much money that is. And the realtor tried to defend themselves, saying, hey, it wasn't me, I got hacked, but there was no proper proof. And because of that, they ended up having to pay almost just over $160,000, the realtor, in this scenario. And this was in Kansas. So even the smallest mistakes, they lead to major legal and financial risk. So we always tell everybody, never send or forward wiring instructions via email. That's one of the easiest ways that hackers can intercept and get access and modify and take control. You should always be verifying everything using a trusted phone numbers, um, and contact numbers, to make sure that everything is, who they say they are, as well as adding disclaimers that you guys will never email wire instructions. That is something that's very, very important, and hackers are easily jumping into this. And it's important to train and educate the clients, that they understand what is, how is the whole process gonna be. Something very, and I'll take a little step back. It's that not only realtors, but it's actually also the supply chain, meaning from the inspection company to the appraisal companies. If they're hacked, hackers can easily move laterally and then be able to get access to the realtor, and then ultimately to the mortgage broker, and then to the title company. And if nobody has real cybersecurity protection, like real, I say real, it's like enterprise level, because right now there's a lot of, unfortunately, cybersecurity tools that, it's a couple dollars a month and people think that that's really going to protect them. And in reality, that's just, it's not. So there's a lot of pitfalls, and hackers are now starting to target the real estate industry. And I'm going to go into much more detail because they know that many realtors are almost part-time, spare time basis. They're working from their computers, they're working from coffee shops, they're, on shared networks. Um, so they're extremely vulnerable, and they don't have that high level of infrastructure and security to properly protect them. So that's like what's going on. Something we're realizing that some people are saying is, hey, I have cyber insurance. So that means I don't really need to worry about this, because if something happens, it's kind of like my car insurance. If I get in a car accident, my car insurance is going to pay for it. But, you know, are you really protected? And most people, they just assume, I learned this a long time ago, that the bold print sells it, but the fine print takes it away. And there's actually a case here where a brokerage, they submitted a cyber insurance claim after a breach. The insurer reviewed everything all, and realized that they didn't have any documented MFA, multi-factor authentication. There was no incident response plans. No, the backups weren't consistent. Patching wasn't regular. And I'll break that all down, what that means. But the insurer denied the claim, citing violations of the coverage terms. So the brokerage ended up having to pay for all the remediations, the legal fees, and all the client notifications out of pocket. So imagine paying for something every month, and then realizing when you finally need it that they're not going to pay. And we're going to be doing another webinar soon, is about how 44% of claims actually get rejected. And if you think about it, that's almost half. Why? And it's because of that fine print. If you can't show and prove that you were doing everything right, then when it's time to pay, they don't. Similar to a car insurance, if you got in a car accident and then the adjuster comes and looks that your tires were bald, your brakes were bare, you didn't have any brakes, that you were drinking and driving, that you didn't have a seatbelt on, you were running red lights, all this stuff, do you really think that they're going to pay? No, they're not. You may even go to jail for something like that, So this is the reality. This is what's going on right now, and that's why we're here. Our whole mission is to educate the real estate industry on what's going on and how to properly protect themselves. Because right now there's FTC safeguard rules that state that you need to have a written security program, right? You need to have a qualified individual, meaning either an in-house IT person that's qualified, not just the assistant and she knows how to make sure that the internet works. No, it's an actually qualified person, or an outside third-party vendor, right? You need to have the vendor oversight to make sure, if I'm working with this inspection company, or an appraisal company, or whoever that I'm emailing back and forth, that they need to have proper policies and procedures and cybersecurity in place, because we are sharing our clients' information back and forth. So that's very important. An incident response plan. IBM came out about was it last year? They said that if you have an incident response plan as a company, and and the whole team is trained and knows how it works, it's like kind of like the fire drill in school. You can save approximately $1.5 million in a breach just by having an incident response plan that everybody knew how to execute it, right? So that's extremely important, and most businesses don't have that at all. The multi-factor authentication, data breach notification laws. This is what's crazy, is that if unfortunately there's a data breach, you, as the brokerage or the realtor, whoever, you must notify all of your clients that their information is now in the hands of the cyber criminals, right? That's part of the laws. When that happens, that's where the class action lawsuits actually begin, because now the new ambulance chaser attorneys, as they were called before, are starting to realize that these are easy cases that they can easily win by proving negligence. right? And I'll go into more in detail about that. And then finally is risk assessments. You need to be able to show that you were at least on a bare minimum every year doing penetration tests by a third party that proves that you were doing everything right and you have all these things in place. So these are just some of the requirements for the FTC rules and that apply to the real estate industry. So this right here is where what's crazy. It's that in the stats state that we're more likely to have a cyber attack than get into a car accident, if you can believe that, knowing that we drive all day long. Why? We use technology for everything. The days of not having internet or not having a smartphone or emails or doing video presentations like this, that's over. The technology is here and it just keep growing, especially with AI. So if a breach happens, they send in the digital forensic teams to find out what happened, similar to when you get in a car accident where the adjusters come and analyze the everything, especially if they're going to go to court to know who's to blame. So without that proof, they're going to blame you, and that's the scary part, and that's the legal risk. And the stats also state that about almost 60% of companies close their doors within 6 months of a major cyber breach. 60%. That's more than half. And you're thinking like, wow, that's huge. And it's not so much because of the breach and because you had to maybe pay the ransomware. It's from all the legal risk that comes after that. Because like I said, the class action lawsuits now come in because you had to disclose to everybody. And if you don't, there's so much compliance fines and fees as well as lawsuits that can come into play just by you not, following the rules after a breach. And many people, what we've realized, don't know the rules. So this is like the world that we're in now. And our goal for most of our cybersecurity is to help everybody. So right now, I'm going to just share a little bit about who we are, Mostro. Mostro actually stands for monster in Spanish and Latin. So when we decided to put this company together, we wanted to build like a digital monster that's there to protect all of our clients, right? So we focus on enterprise level cybersecurity and compliance and consulting, right? To protect all avenues, everything that's relevant to a business for their livelihood, right? So that's why we decided to create this. A little bit about myself. My name is Dennis Patino. I founded Absolute Marketing, a digital marketing agency, about 14 years ago. And I'll tell you a little quick story about that. Out of South Florida, we were Google partners and we were helping tons of clients grow their business. Well, approximately a few years ago, a bunch of my clients started getting hacked and ransomware. And they would call me as their trusted advisor saying, Dennis, please help me. And I was like, I don't know about that. I can help you with your Google, with your website, with your SEO and Google Ads, but I don't know about that. I was like, talk to your IT guy. And they're like, no, we did talk to our IT guy and they don't have a clue. And I unfortunately saw people that I helped grow their business just get wiped out and have to close their business. And that just devastated me because these were people that I helped that we had a relationship with. They reached out to me to help, and I just felt helpless because I didn't know and I didn't know anybody to help them with that. And that's when I realized that there's the good side of the internet and there's the dark side. And I was working in the good side with digital marketing and helping websites and all that's good stuff, but the dark side, and just like that, the dark side can come in and wipe out a small business owner. So I decided to sell the majority of my marketing company to my best friend from high school. He wanted to get into it, and that allowed me to pivot and open Mostro cybersecurity and compliance. I knew that by getting into this, that I didn't want to be some regular IT guy. Like that's not what I wanted to do. I knew that I needed to have the premium, best of the best cybersecurity on the planet to help every small business owner. Why? Because as a new father, I have two kids under 3 years old, and I would do everything to help and give my babies the best that they can have to grow. Well, as a business owner, your business is like your baby too. So I knew that to give the community the best that existed, I had to have the best of the best in breed. And it took me about a year and a half of really analyzing, studying, getting all this stuff together to now to be able to have the same tools that the Department of Defense uses, put it like that. We have the best in breed for everything because we are going to protect somebody's business, their baby, and only the best is what's gonna give you the best fighting chance. So I have that. And then also I knew that this wasn't just like you buy some software and it's on cruise control and it's working by itself. No, you still need that human touch, that human element. And it's 24/7 because a lot of the hacks and things come in, it's in the middle of the night. It's almost like the way we've been able to describe this, a hacker when you get hacked, it's not like in the movies where you see that the red lights are going off and then the sirens are going off. No, it's really like a burglar getting into your house and then just hiding in the corner and just watching what time you wake up, what time you take the dogs out, what time you have your coffee, your breakfast, you go to the gym, when you come back, what time you pick up the kids, what time you go to sleep, where's the safe, where's the guns and weapons. They sit in your house, imagine, for over 90 days. Why? Analyzing and gathering as much information as possible. So that way, when they finally decide today's the day, we're going to encrypt and we're going to lock everything down. That's how the ransomware payments, if you Google it, it's in the millions of dollars. Why? Because the hacker was able to gather so much data, so many usernames and passwords, so much banking information that they know exactly how much they can gather out of you. And they got all your backups, they got it all. And you didn't know that for the last 3, 4 months, they were already in your system and analyzing everything and taking all this stuff. So that's the real world of what's going on and why I decided to pivot and jump headfirst into this. So our team handles the cybersecurity for the Florida Department of Transportation, as well as the National Institute of Aviation Research. That is the team that we have for that's handling for most of those clients, that level of elite. So we have the top tools and elite team, but as the owner, I knew that I had to make this extremely affordable and bring the investment really low to so somebody can actually take advantage of this. I realized that cybersecurity is new for many business owners. For the enterprise companies, they already know. They've have huge IT departments, huge teams, insurances. They have all that stuff. But the small to medium sized businesses, they don't. They think they're too small, and when reality is that they're too small to appear in the news. And so I knew that I had to make this extremely affordable, but not sacrificing the quality. So that's what we've been able to put together with Mostro was this whole, that concept. So at this moment, we're gonna really just go into why realtors, why are, you guys really the real estate industry, the prime targets. And most of it is because most real estate offices are small businesses with very little, if anything, of IT or cybersecurity, right? So hackers know this. Why would I go and try to target Bank of America, Chase, or all these huge corporations that have $1 million budgets and are doing this stuff when I can easily go and target a real estate office, a mortgage broker, a title company, these people, right? It's very easy. When the closings are coming up, it's a lot of high pressure. Everybody's like, oh, we got to close by this day. You got to get me that. You got to, and everybody's just like, in this frantic, especially because the homeowners are pressuring. Maybe they already sold their house and they need to move into the new house. And so many, so it's always a high pressure situation for the closing. And are we going to get the closing? Is the money in? All these different things. You guys know that better. I've only bought a few houses and I know how it was for me. Also, everybody relies heavily on email. So hackers know that if I can just intercept and spoof someone's email, then I have the game is so much easier. It's like I'm not going after the bank and trying to get into the vault of the bank. No, I just, if I can get access to their emails and then redirect the funds or redirect or send this or that, then it's much easier. And we're talking about high value transactions. We're not talking about $5, $50. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars on some properties, where if they get into a realtor and then the realtor can communicate to the title company and say, oh, this, that, or whatever, and we don't have proper security, it's easy pickings, easy. And that's why we're realizing that a lot of hackers are starting to target the real estate industry, and Florida being a hotspot for real estate. We live where most people come to, the whole world comes to vacation. So that's what we're realizing, and most people don't understand, and they just think that, oh, well, I work at a brokerage, so that's the broker's responsibility. I'm the agent. I don't need to worry about that. And in reality, you're both liable, because if something happens, both of you guys can be named in lawsuits or fines or everything like that. So it's something where you guys both have to be, hand in hand. I'm gonna kind of go through this, and then towards the end, I'll have the questions and answers and stuff, because this really was supposed to be about maybe a half an hour, 40 minutes long. So these are some of the just consequences. There's tons of different consequences, but from wire fraud, lost deposits, the lawsuits, and the legal liability, like we briefly mentioned about the lost commissions, obviously, and the reputation. Imagine if you're the realtor that their email got hacked, and then all the scenarios happened. Do you think you're gonna get referrals? People are going to want to talk to you. I think your reputation is going to be pretty much done. It's going to be extremely hard to come back from that. And I'll even give you a quick case from somebody that I met recently. He's a doctor, and I was at a networking event here in Clearwater, and he had his scrubs on, his doctor scrubs, and he saw my shirt. He said, "Oh, cybersecurity," and I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh man, I got hacked a couple of years ago, and I paid $1 million ransom." And I was like, immediately my ears and eyes, I was like, "What? Okay." I was like, "Wow, can I talk to you? I'd love to maybe interview you and have like a podcast or a webinar and kind of like hear your experience." And he's like, "No," he's like, "I can't. Part of my legal stuff, I'm not able to even talk about this." And I was like, "Well, why?" He's like, "One, I had to close my practice." I was like, "Really?" But I was like, "But you're working." And he's like, "No, I got a job now. I work under another doctor because I had to close my practice. I went from being the owner to now getting a job, as still as a doctor, but as a job." And he's like, "I can't even legally talk about this because," and this is after I paid the $1 million ransom. And that just blew my mind. So this is real things that are happening right now. And this reputational damage, these are things that you can't take lightly. And now cybersecurity and compliance, it's essential for all businesses, you know. Mm, and in this, these are just some quick wins that I wanted to put together. Our goal is that we're going to have every week a different webinar to go into much more detail, because there's obviously, this is just a little tip of the iceberg of all the different components for cybersecurity and compliance and training and all these different things. But one of the things that we've noticed, that we've talked to a lot of real estate companies, is that they're not really using encryption. They're not even, they're using a lot of times their personal devices, and that are not really built for enterprise. And that's a extreme red flag, because your emails can easily be intercepted. And if your computer gets hacked, and you have on your hard drives or wherever you have clients information, driver's license, applications, whatever, any of that PII information, it's easily accessible. If you lose your laptop, or you're at Starbucks and someone steals it, or who knows what, that information is now in the cyber criminals. And if it's not encrypted, they easily get access to it. And that's a huge violation. we're noticing a lot of people are not you really using real two-factor authentication, which is extremely, it's like another layer. Um, multi-factor authentication is where you're going to log into somewhere and it asks you to verify with another device. But what we're seeing is that many people maybe do this, but they put their email as the second factor and authentication, and that's not good, because if your computer's hacked, and then it says a code to your email, and I already got access to your email, then I'm able to get in and change everything, right? So you always want to put it to your cell phone, and that way, the hacker's not gonna have access to your cell phone. And so that's just something that we'll go into more detail, but that's something that we see that people will say, "Oh, I do have it." When we ask, they send it to the email, and that's easily. In disclaimers, and I know some of this stuff could be applied to the title companies too, but you want to put there that we will never email wire instructions. So that way, that's part of the training to the owners and to the buyers, that they understand, and that they're trained to understand what's going on. Because like I said, in those last couple of days, or the last day when everybody's scrambling or trying to get out of work, they're trying to do all this stuff, that they don't easily forget and get be victims. Train the assistants, all the coordinators, all of these, all the people that have access to all this stuff. Um, so one of the things that many people have asked, oh, before that, also slow down and verify when things are feeling off. Because sometimes in all that commotion, and people are rushing because they're thinking their commission, they already spent their commission, and then they just try to rush right through it, and that's when hackers use that type of commotion to easily be able to take advantage, right? So how can we help, right? One of the easiest ways that we recommend that we can help a business owner, a real estate office, a broker, an agent, mortgage, anybody in the real estate industry, is by doing a penetration test. That's the legal term. We call it a cyber penetration test. Basically, what this is, it's like an ethical hacking. About 90% of all hacks come in through an email, right? Now with AI and automations, it's crazy how advanced AI and hackers can make emails look legit, like look real, like look like it's American Express, it's your bank, it's WhatsApp, it's Airbnb. There's countless examples of all these different ways that they try to trick you to clicking on that email and downloading whatever it is, right? So what a penetration does, it simulates that the email came in, you clicked on it, and it got into your computer, into your network, into your environment. What that penetration test does, it tells you all of your vulnerabilities. It's like, you just moved into the house, and then it's like an analysis telling you, hey, the back door doesn't close all the way. This window over here is, it's broken and it's could easily, it breaks down the whole, what is it? The home inspection, something along those lines, and thinking about in real estate terms, showing you all the vulnerabilities, and telling you, hey, you're in great shape, or no, these are all the risks, these are all the things we found, and let's fix them before a hacker finds out, and then it's too late, right? So these penetration tests, they easily run between $4,000 to $5,000. So for all the star members, we are actually giving this complimentary. Why? Because our goal is to be able to help at least 1 million people be protected. How are we going to do that? Is by showing them with real proof. This penetration test is done by a third party. They're a company called Galactic Advisors. They're one of the top dogs in the industry that specialize. They've done thousands of these nationwide for countless companies, and they do it. And the reason we do it is with a third party is because that way it's unbiased. It's not nobody trying to sell you something that you don't need. No, it's an unbiased analysis. And there's been people who've done it for that they're like, no, you're great. You don't need this. And they're like, oh, thank you. It's like a second opinion. It's like you go to the doctor telling you need a new heart. You're not just gonna be like, sure. No, I'm sure you're gonna want to go get a second opinion and make sure, because there's a lot of companies that we realize that have IT, and they're like, oh, my IT guy's the greatest. He's a genius. He's the best. And you're like, when have you ever checked your IT's work? Because you can't ever check your own homework. You can't see everything. You can't see your blind spots. So that's the importance of having a third party penetration test done. And like I said, this is easily about $4,000 or $5,000, and we do this complimentary, so that way we can show and we can help. And then just to finish it off, we have a special promotion for any of our clients, that and any of the clients that come through the Star memberships, and then decide to start working with us, because not only do we have the premium cybersecurity, all the compliance programs and evidence and everything you need, as well as the managed IT, where we can manage your computers, your networks, your compute, everything that's relevant to that, and now even AI things that we're putting together. So anybody who works with us, we're giving a special 25% discount off the monthly investment, just by working with us as a special for everyone that's in this association. So that for right now is everything that I have for the first episode. And oh, actually, I have a quick before this. Any questions, Tanya or Luz? Any questions that you guys may have at this moment?
No, I don't have any questions. I can
Okay.
appreciate everything that you're talking about, because I have a compliance mind and an IT background. So I can appreciate everything that you're talking about. And when I was compliance director for those 3 market centers, it was everything I could do to keep the agents straight, and and doing the right things, and preventing those wire fraud mistakes. We've run into a few of those at times too. So, and I have a friend in title who she owns a title company, and they have experienced that quite a few times with agents sending out the wiring instructions and creating a scenario where the title companies would have to go back and chase things down. So it's crazy. It is really, really scary out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Exactly. And that's where I have a soft spot, because a lot of my friends and family and people I know here in South Florida, I mean in Florida, are in this real estate industry. And I've talked to them, and they're like, they look at me like, what are you talking about? We don't do any of this stuff. And I'm like, what? So this is a big need right now, and that's why we're doing our best to educate. We've written already 3 ebooks, and we're going to send them out to you guys. And we're actually writing a new ebook that's going to be for just specifically for the real estate industry and title industry and then the mortgage industry, because they all have separate different types of protection, different types of situations, and they're all like different types of companies that need different types of protection. So we are doing our best to educate and give out this information complimentary, so that we can all help each other. And our goal as a company is to make the United States almost not unhackable, but to the point where the hackers would rather go and
Somewhere
target
else.
other countries. Yeah, other places, because they're like, why
No
am I going to
way.
waste my time and my money trying to target the United States, where they're blinged out, versus other countries in Europe or Canada. I don't know, that it's easy pickings over there versus coming after us. And that's really one, like our long-term goal, is to get to that point. So awesome. So I don't know, Tanya or Luz, if you guys have any other questions or anything, we'd love to set up another time to talk to you. I see that Luz sent a message. She said, okay, the information is clear, but now I'm not, okay. Yes, to be able to continue to talk to you guys and share more information. And then next week we are going to have another another webinar that's going to go into more detail, and then we're going to be doing it for a total of 4 weeks straight. So I'd love to have you guys come again, and this recording is going to be able to be shared and hopefully continue to grow together.
I work with some small brokers, small independent brokers. So this is something that I can, continue to share with them. Will we get a copy of the video?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
and in there I will send you also a link to my calendar, because I'd love to explore some more possibilities with you, Tanya, and help you grow your business as well. That's very exciting. So I think we can, create some good synergy with each other.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend. And I think it's going to be next Friday around the same time. So for the
Okay,
next episode. And okay, great. Thank you.
bye.
Bye for now.